Hey, we're live. We are here to talk Trek on StarTrekkin. Like usual. Oh, I have my name set to both of us for some reason, but hey, that's fine. I can change that. Anyways, hi, I'm Nicole. I'm here with Gary.
Hello.
And across the city is Green. Hey, how's it going?
How's it going?
Not too bad. How are you on this slightly snowy Sunday?
Yeah, it's I got a bit of migraine actually. The weather doesn't feel
yeah, that's been happening with me a little bit too. For sure, because like it's when the weather changes a lot, that's definitely a problem for migraine people. That is why I want to move to Hawaii. Aside from being on an island and not talking to humans.
Well, honestly, our other choice being New Zealand. We're basically looking at two islands. One comes with earthquakes, and the other with volcanoes.
The other is San Diego, I believe.
I want to do Finland, so like
Finland, the weather changes a lot. So
but
geez, what's going on with this?
It has good civil services.
Lots of water.
Yes, it does.
Granted, all those civil services come from colonial exploitation, but that's a sort of all of Canada's. So there's no avoiding that.
It's also they also have free university, which is quite nice.
Only if you're an EU citizen, because I looked into it.
Yes, they do. But they also the problem with free university I found is from my family there is that if you only have a BA, it's only a BA. And that your family pressures you to go back to school because you only have a BA, see, and you should go and get your master's because clearly you're a smart person and you should go get your BA. Your master's. Yes, exactly. That's what my one of my cousins, that's happening with them a lot.
But yeah, so if I were to go for a doctorate, I could get free schooling in Finland. That's the one exception to the you got to pay. They will allow doctorates because presumably you stay in the country, or at least you bring the country a lot of prestige.
Yep.
They also have a lot of work in my fields of study, so that is a very
well. I want to go I want to go to ecology, and ecology is apparently a big deal in Finland right now. So
yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, all that stuff. They're very very nature conscious human beings. For sure.
Yeah, apparently environmentalism is like a big concern for them right now.
Yeah,
100%. It always has been. They're very environmentally friendly kind of people.
I was also going to say universities generally like to be diverse. So that's often at the doctorate level, they're prepared to kind of fund that.
Yeah. No, it's a great place if you ever decide to go. I know tons of people in Finland, aside from my family too. And Helsinki's a great city. And you know what? Being north when the sun is up in the summer is a real freaking trip. I got to tell you, it's pretty amazing.
Being from Saskatchewan, I know what that.
Oh yeah. It's pretty amazing.
I wondered if you experienced that out there.
How is it? Is it 24 hours kind of thing there?
No, we weren't quite that far north.
That's Yukon.
Yeah, no, we did get like 6-hour nights, but not 24-hour.
In Finland, it gets to the point where it's like it's never quite dark.
Yeah, I mean we do get that in Canada, and I have experienced that, just not in Saskatchewan. Like I've been up to the Yukon.
Yeah, so. It's like at 3 a.m. It's still there's still like a twilight kind of a light in the sky. The first time I went there when I was like 13, it really like I couldn't sleep. I slept like 4 hours a night or something like that because I was just like light. I wasn't like light crazy like happens, but I was definitely like I had way more energy.
Well, you would be familiar with this having been there, but I know in Finland they give you like they have like these earbuds that have like UV lights that you put them in to cope with the darkness in the darkness.
Oh really? I know I have never been there in the winter for any length of time, so that's pretty cool. I'll have to ask my friends about that for sure. Anyways, if any of my Finnish friends have know about the earbuds, I'd love to hear about them. But that's pretty cool. But yeah, it gets super freaking dark. Anyway, so let us go to Star Trek because, as I said in my tweet, we have so much Trek to talk about.
Oh boy,
today. Do we? So we're gonna just jump right in. because we missed a few things, so we're gonna go. Let's start with Discovery, I guess, because we're ramping up to the end of Discovery.
So
and
do we want to organize this by episode in order of watch, or do you want to Discovery, Picard?
I do Discovery and then Picard.
I think we should do Discovery and then Picard. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So we've haven't recapped Discovery since the galactic barrier, and holy crap, has a lot happened. So let's basically start there. I'm going to just start off when we're going forward. We'll kind of do a top five things you might need to know, or a quick kind of recap of the important points from the episodes. But I'm just going to go through some quick Wikipedia synopses, and so we know like the basics of what happened in each episode beforehand, and then we'll get to discussing the episode. So, galactic barrier, fearing retaliation from species 10C. Rillick moves up the timeline for first contact. She, Tarina, and several diplomats board Discovery, which jumps to the galactic barrier and begins the dangerous flight through it. Before they lose contact with the Federation, they are contacted by Vance, who tells them the DMA is now close to destroying Earth and Navarre. Meanwhile, Book and Tarka need programmable antimatter to make it through the barrier themselves and travel to a stash of that Tarka has abandoned in an abandoned prison where he was once held. Oh my god, that was like only 3 episodes ago.
I know, right? I was just thinking that myself.
Tarka explains that he had befriended a fellow prisoner. They were best friends. They were best friends, guys. People are even saying that. I'm like, oh, because he was BFFs. I'm like, yeah, BFFs, guys. Tarka explains that he had befriended a fellow prisoner, Oros, who built a machine to transport them to a peaceful parallel universe. They were separated, and Tarka does not know if Oros was successful, but he hopes so, and has built his own machine so they can also travel there. It requires a large amount of power, and Tarka had planned to use the DMA's power source before realizing that it is at 10C's location rather than at the DMA itself. After a difficult flight, Discovery emerges from the galactic barrier and begins traveling towards 10C's coordinates. So this was actually mostly Tarka's kind of like... Yeah. Story and his background, which was
what you've been asking for,
and I was deeply unsatisfied by.
So much
his
for my
reasoning is like
something...
okay. I guess you had feelings.
So much for my theory that like there was something really weird going on there. Like, it's because the reason why I thought that there was going to be something really weird, that like there was going to be like something like beyond just like what there was because like why bother hiding that?
Yes.
Like why wait so long for that reveal if it was exactly what it was going to be?
Well, also uncool for him to be like, my pain is greater than yours, right? Yeah. It's like a lot of people have lost people. I lost an entire planet.
Yeah. Like I lost my boyfriend. You lost your entire people and culture. Clearly our pain is equal.
Yes.
Right?
That's what I said. Like, again, it's like so indicative of his arrogance. And Book is like, oh, I understand. I'm like, Book, you understand? Book, you should be saying, like, what the fuck, man? Like, come on.
Yeah. Well, maybe we're forgetting that Tarka is like the privileged white male in all of this.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I don't get why Book's putting up with this shit. I mean, I do.
Neither do I.
It feels...
Because story at this point. Yeah. I mean, I understand that Book heard his story, and Book is an empath. Okay, I think that's what it comes down to in this case, in this situation, in this story. Book is an empath. Book is like, you know what? I feel bad for you that this happened. So, you know, I think I'm wearing my hat inside out. I'm sorry, it's super distracting. Yeah. So anyways, Book is an empath, and he feels really bad that this happened to him. He can feel his pain. He understands it because he has lost so much, and because he's like kind of losing Michael in a sense right now. They still live each other, but you know, they're having philosophical issues.
I know, but like I feel like you should give us a little bit of like dialogue. You know, like even when he's in prison with Jet later on, like he should say like, I feel this guy, like he has deep feelings that hit him to the core.
No,
Right, like,
yeah,
just
I guess
something.
that's a real writer's problem. I guess is
Like
not
overall,
expressing this right.
I mean, overall, I'm really loving the season of Discovery.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But like, this is my one big gripe with it.
Yeah, that Tarka is just like getting away with shit because
Yeah,
story, because
Yes.
reasons,
Well,
because
that's mine.
it needs to happen.
That's
Yeah,
my
and
pet
that's
peeve.
very frustrating. It is frustrating because I really like him. Like I said, like as a character, I enjoy Tarko when he's like on and the writing is good for him and he makes sense. Like I find him very funny. And like the whole concept is Tarka is amazing to me. Like
Yeah.
this like, you know,
For sure.
like Beta Z
Scientist.
hedonistic Ryzen scientist who's just like, I just do what I want, and but like who is also cut off from everyone and incapable of having like booking him or booking this guy or his only real relationships because he's such a arrogant dickwad. But yeah, I just don't understand, and I don't understand when he doesn't even know this guy is alive. He doesn't know this guy's alive.
yeah
He doesn't know this guy's got anywhere. He doesn't know this place exists. He knows literally nothing. He knows literally nothing.
Yeah.
Well, other than something happened at the old prison base that he was like, oh, clearly Oros did it.
He could be dead. He could have easily blown himself up.
Yes.
Yeah. And he's just like, okay, so I'm willing to destroy Earth and Navarre just so I and kill everybody. Kill Michael, kill Discovery, kill this new species, kill everybody. So I can just I'm more important than everybody else.
We even see that with Jet later. Because Jet's like his calculations, you know, he could kill everybody, right? Like like we've already got an instance where someone's like, maybe your math is not good.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, no, it's not that his math isn't good. It's that he doesn't fucking care. He's like exactly what they thought the 10C were.
His math also isn't good, because if his math was good, he wouldn't have been like, he would have known that the power source.
Yeah, because he's not checking, right? Like
I think the problem
he has a confirmation bias.
Yep.
Yes, he sees what he wants.
Yep.
And I guess you could say that, like, we're just going all over the place. We're not even in this episode anymore.
No,
but he sees what he wants, and I guess you can say Book sees what he wants too with this, right? Like, Book is only seeing, you know, but like the grief. He's not seeing that he's crazy. He's just seeing that he's sad.
It doesn't work for Book's character.
No, it doesn't.
Crazy, reckless.
Like
it's reckless.
Yeah, it doesn't work for Book's character. Because Book should be more savvy about this.
Yes.
Yeah. So they're clearly just doing it just to make the plot go forward.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate because I don't think they need to do that. Like I think he's a compelling enough character that you could get around just with a little bit extra work. You could get around to making Book working with him for as long. Initially, Book working with him made perfect sense, but Book sticking with him for as long as he does not.
No.
I think it's a great writing challenge, right? Like that relationship and like working with someone like him. Like there's a lot of good things you can kind of mine out of there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, there are some good things about all of this outside of Book and Tarka. I mean, it's good that we got to see Tarka's story. It's unfortunate. Like I was kind of in the same position as you, Green, going like, really is that it to this? Like, you feel guilty because you sold this guy out, basically, or something like that. Like
the guilt's valid. Just why tease it out for as long as they teased it out if it was going to be that straightforward? I just don't understand.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Neither do I, because there was no real payoff to it.
There should have been a twist. You're gonna draw it out this long. It should be some sort of like crazy, haha, you weren't expecting this.
Yeah, we have nothing from this, really.
Like I really thought that, like I said, like I was joking about how his boyfriend's going to turn out to be God.
Yeah,
or Q.
or
Right,
what
yeah.
was it? Or Jason Isaacs. That's what I was hoping for, right? Like just anything, I keep hoping for Jason Isaacs somewhere. But no, nothing. And so, I mean, great that we got that, but not so great that it's like,
They made it a mystery when they really, really didn't need to.
yeah.
Like, it's not a problem that was that straightforward. It's just, if it's going to be that straightforward, why the mystery?
I think they just wanted Book and Tarka to have some sort of bonding experience. So Book could be like, I understand where you're coming from, and we're friends now.
They could have done that
Something.
earlier, or they could have done it with a slower burn instead of.
Yeah.
This is a problem Discovery has. Period. Discovery likes to save all of his like they did this. I've complained about this before, but they did it with Nyreen, I think that was her name, the cyborg lady, where she had no character, and then we got all of her backdrop. Barium, thank you. She had no character, and then she got a big character background in the same episode she died.
Yeah,
and like this is just something Discovery likes to do. Is they like to save instead of slowly building relationships up. They like to be like, this relationship is about this episode, about this relationship, and that doesn't work for the format they're going for. Like if this was an episodic, obviously that would be the format to go. But if you're doing a serialized story instead of an episodic story, it doesn't really work.
I just also don't understand why. I mean, like, having that be Tarka's motivation, cool. But if you need things for Book and Tarka to bond on beyond like a loss or with a loss, like, can't you have like daddy issues or something like that? Because Book has that established and in spades, right?
Actually,
like,
I think your other one is that Tarka was a prisoner.
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
Like, Book cannot abide animals being imprisoned and used.
Book was imprisoned too for a short period of time. So I mean, like they can talk about that sort of thing too, and they have, but like just not on a significant level. So
they were also both imprisoned by the Emerald Chain specifically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that they have discussed that. They have like bonded on that level. And it's a little frustrating that would not be more of a
natural kind of like place to go.
Yeah, like their grief and the fact that they were both imprisoned by the Emerald Chain, and they why not say, species with this power, I'm concerned that they would just enslave us the Emerald Chain did.
Or discuss the fact that like the species, like why is there no reason to assume the species gives a fuck about like
lesser beings?
Yeah, because they're so far advanced. Someone Discovery, I think it was it might have been Tig in one of the later episodes, literally says, I mean, it's us versus like, would we care about baboon? Like,
I think it was Stamets.
Stamets?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like it is quite shocking. And I mean, like I think that's what's been shaking Hugh up so badly. Is Hugh got that and heard that sort of thing. Like it was he was speaking with someone and I forget.
Saru.
He was speaking with Saru, and when Saru said they may just not care.
Yeah.
And that to Hugh, I think that was just beyond his conception. And he got shook by that and hasn't been able to right himself since then. So I think like when we talk about the later episodes, I think the fact that they have, feelings and compassion and empathy will be a big thing to writing Hugh again in his place in the show. Having the diplomats on Discovery has been great in some ways. I'm glad that they put them on, primarily because Saru and Trina get to continue talking to each other and flirting and being awkward.
I enjoy the romance.
Yes, everyone does, and I think it's fabulous. And Doug Jones is a genius and should be given 1 million awards for managing to convey any emotion facially through all of that makeup, which he does all the time. And if people would stop just freaking interrupting them constantly, that would be really great. But it's also great. I like it because it's like classic romantic complications, you know?
Also awesome that Michael is giving him like advice on how to date a Vulcan.
Yeah, later on in the later episodes.
They don't publicly display it.
Yeah, in the episode later on, that was really cool. Yeah. But I've enjoyed that, so it's good that they're coming on. But I really enjoyed as part of this episode that Michael had the discussion with Rilek about telling everyone about the DMA and where it was and what might happen. And Michael argued in favor of transparency and ended up, winning out in the end. And I think I said to Gary at the time, like, this is such a Michael Burnham move. Like, she's just like, if I have information and it's important to people, I want to share it because I owe that to my crew.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love Michael so much. That's just that's the best leadership. That's just, I love her.
Really the writers were a little heavy-handed in that one.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, RC.
Sorry. Phone call.
It was a little heavy-handed?
Oh, yeah, just because they had all of the crew talking about Earth, and they're like, when we get back to Earth, I'm going to the beach.
They talked about it before they found out, but yes, that was a little heavy-handed. Anyway, sorry, RC, what were you going to say?
No, I just like what they've done with Michael this season. I particularly like what they've done with her this season. Like, it is interesting comparing and contrast to her this season versus last season, where last season she was like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna stick with Starfleet. I might just stay with being a courier. And this season she's just like full in on the Starfleet.
No, when she made that decision to be captain of the ship, she went full in on it.
Yeah. And
I think that's great. So I really enjoyed that, and I really enjoyed that she was willing to tell everybody, even though they did that. But yeah, it was a little heavy. Like, everyone had like a special Earth thing that they were going to do.
That's right.
And they were all like, I'm going to go skiing. I'm going to go surfing in Hawaii.
That reminds me of the episode of Lower Decks when everyone was from Hawaii.
Exactly. Whenever I'm like, Hawaii again, come on.
But then turns out no one was.
Only the best place on Earth.
It's only the best place on It's only the best place on Earth. That's why everyone wants to go to Hawaii. The Hawaiians must be very sick of this. In fact, I know they are. So they're like, stop coming here.
Fucking interstellar visitors.
Yeah. So go on.
But I mean, Discovery has never been what I would call a subtle show.
No, it's not really a subtle show. It wears its heart on its sleeve.
Yeah.
And it loves science.
Them being very heavy-handed there, I think works.
It was I was laughing a little at it, but it was also kind of nice because I'm like, that's cool. And also they were all being optimistic about going back, which was interesting because they acknowledged that they might not. And who was it referred to? It was Cronenberg referenced a 3-hour tour.
Right.
How many people were eager to go on a 3-hour tour? And I'm like, oh dear, that's not a good sign because that's Gilligan's Island. And they never came back from, well, I guess they did eventually, didn't they? Or did they? Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they're going to go this way, but like season 5 could be redo Voyager with them trying to get back to Earth. Although their ship teleports, so.
Yeah, I mean, they can't teleport, but there's interference, isn't there? Yeah.
No, the network doesn't extend into the other galaxy.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
They're past the galactic rim.
Yeah, the galactic barrier. And that was the other thing. That was a really Gary actually really liked how that was shot. The transit through the galactic barrier.
Yeah, the transition between the different like hue colors.
They went black and white for a period of time,
like,
almost.
Really like grayscale.
Mhm.
I must not have been looking at the screen when that happened because I did not catch that.
No, Gary, he was very enthusiastic about it. Like, I was looking back and forth, and he's like, "Oh my god, that's so cool!" So basically, like through different parts of the transition through the barrier, there were different kind of. Like at one point they went kind of grayscale, and when they came out, they were back in color, and there was like a kind of a reddish point, I think, or orangish. Yeah, it was very interesting.
Because the different basically light spectrums are no longer available in those sections of space that they were traveling through, or at least the ones that are typified by
I must
our
have been like
galaxy.
in the kitchen getting food when that happened or something.
It was really cool. It was very nicely shot.
Yeah,
and
little effect.
And it was a good, another good kind of demonstration of Discovery and their crew, and how they are all good at like working together to kind of like make things happen.
I remember the scene. I just don't remember specifically the hue changing, which tells me that I was listening but not watching. Like
it's when they were passing through those membranes. They were basically like these cells they were jumping into and try to pass through the space to the other galaxy.
I remember them jumping through the membranes. Like I said, this is why I'm pretty sure I was like, or maybe I was getting laundry out of the machine or something when that moment happened. Because I remember the moment, I just don't remember the specific incident you are describing.
It certainly wasn't maintained long. Like it was just kind of like a brief thing that was happening as they.
It was maybe like 5 minutes, or less. Yeah. It was cool. So they get through for sure. They were still attached. Bookship was attached to the hull by then. That's how they got through the.
Tarka's plan was to use the Discovery to get them across.
Yeah, which is not really mentioned in this little recap, so I had double checked it just to make sure. But yes, they had used the plan to use Discovery as to hitch a ride through. So which they do. And that is why they are through the galactic barrier.
Yeah.
I can't remember too much more about this episode that was super important.
Well, they compromised the Earth president or the leader, the diplomat that's on.
I think that's the next episode.
General Ndoye? No, that's the next episode.
That happened later.
Yeah.
But, this was a really low-key episode. It was also probably the episode I liked the least of this season so far, which is to say I didn't like it. I did.
Well, it's a travel episode.
It was the most forgettable of all the episodes we've had so far.
It's completely just a journeyman episode to get you into transition from the 2 points of the story.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was also like then they used that opportunity to fill in the backstory for Rise of Science Man. I am terrible.
Yeah, that was the main. Yeah, Tarka was the main like focus of the episode, which was like I think that was the main reason it was kind of a disappointing episode, because it was like, yay, we're finally getting Tarka's story, and he fell in love with this guy who was as smart as him, or smarter, and then felt bad because he had sold him out, and then he died. Maybe, who knows?
He died, or maybe he went to like an alternate reality that his people have a cultural belief in. Or something else, maybe he doesn't know this place. He doesn't even know that this place that they went to exists.
I know he knows nothing. He knows nothing. He's like killing. He's gonna destroy whole planets for this like fantasy he has.
As far as the villain motive, it's fine. But once again, why give it that fanfare? Just why give it that fanfare? If you want to be like, okay, he had a boyfriend and he lost his boyfriend, and his boyfriend may or may not be on another side of. Across like in an alternate reality, fine, that's fine. It's not a great villain motive, but it's a serviceable villain motive. But why the fanfare? Why tease it out? Why build mystery around it if it's going to be exactly what it sounds like?
If you're gonna do the long play, there has to be like a twist.
We could have like found his diary. Found that out, he could have read a letter,
told Lieutenant what's her name during the fight.
Owishikun? Yeah, he could have told.
Perfect opportunity.
Yeah, could have told her. Would have been done with.
Or Book asked him, numerous times.
Could have just told Book.
Book asking him
Montage,
is
memory,
the one.
right?
Flashback.
Book asking him is the one that really got me. Like, just answer it when Book asks. Don't have him be
Yeah.
evasive about it.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, well.
Quite frankly,
caginess.
that would have given them more time to bond and made this current situation where Book trusts him when he shouldn't make more sense.
Yeah.
Because if he was clear with Book right off the bat, I'm building for our viewers. I'm building Lego. That's why I'm seem distracted. That's why there's clanking right now.
Oh yeah, there you go. So there's a bookstore that needs building.
Yes,
Very important.
All this talk of Book.
Yeah. So, but it's more like just if he wasn't evasive with Book, it makes Book trusting him this far make more sense. Right?
Yes.
100%. Yeah. No, 100%. I just.
And there was no reason for him to be evasive. His backstory is exactly what you would assume it to be.
Yes.
It's just none of this makes sense.
No.
All right, let's just move on to a better
We
episode.
wasted a lot of time.
We'll just move on to a better episode. Okay, so the next episode is called Rosetta, which is a better episode. There's a lot going on in this episode. It's not as good as the next ones, but it's still pretty good. So Burnham decides to visit a dead planet near the hyperfield. I don't think Burnham just does it by herself. I think that's unfair. I'm sorry, I got distracted. Burnham decides to visit a dead planet near the hyperfield, which may be the homeworld of species 10C. Earth General Nadoye believes this is a waste of time because she is a pain in the ass. But other diplomats support the decision if it provides useful information. Burnham travels to the planet with Saru, Culber, and Detmer, where they find the large skeletons of a species that once lived in the planet's former gas layers. They also begin to experience hallucinations that create strong feelings such as fear. The team deduced that 10C fled the planet during meteor strikes that burned away the gas and killed some members of the species, and that the species used complex hydrocarbon compounds to communicate their emotions, which are now affecting them on the planet. They believe they can use these hydrocarbons to help communicate with 10C. Meanwhile, Book and Tarka follow Discovery to the planet and sneak on board. Tarka bypasses Dolores' sensors to allow their ship to be attached to Discovery undetected, taking engineer Jet Reno hostage in the process. Book convinces Nadoye to help them destroy the DMA.
The only change I would make is that the skeletons are huge.
They're
They're
massive,
large.
yeah.
Like it belies.
Large, yes. Massive skeletons.
Yes.
Like, I know I make a lot of Mass Effect references, and not everyone may get the Mass Effect references. But they are like Leviathan / like Reaper.
Oh,
huge.
behemoth type things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Entirely.
In Mass Effect, the antagonist alien race are like the size of skyscrapers,
There you go.
and they are comparable to that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this episode because hey, fly good. That was my favorite. I was just like, yes. I love it because I'm like, oh, that's so funny. And Adira's like, oh man, Detmer's so cool. I want to be just like Detmer. Fly good, Detmer. Oh crap. That's like, I never should have said that. How do I make friends with Detmer?
Oh no, this episode's great for that.
Yeah, and then
Hugh's talking with her later.
Yeah. How do I make friends with Detmer? Jet. Well,
Oh, Jet, yeah.
Be a person. Talk to her about things.
Pro tip.
Pro tip, don't be weird.
Don't tell her you want to be them.
Yeah, me too. I was like, I actually cheered when Jet showed up. Yeah. And then, later on, she's like, they're like, oh, hey, Detmer, can I sit with you? And, yeah, of course, Adira. Thanks for saying fly good.
I did.
I did. That really helped me. Please never say I said that again. Oh, I think I will every day of your life. Oh. So I'm like, that is the best. Just a really wonderful interaction. I thought that was probably my favorite part of the episode, to be honest, was just Adira and their hero worship of Detmer. And then Detmer just being like, you're cool, kid. Come and sit. I'm going to mock you now because you were awkward.
There still has to be a call out to that later. Detmer walking by.
Hey, Adira!
Flu kit.
Or no, hey, Adira, fly good. I really enjoyed that a lot.
It was just, yeah, I enjoy Adira's character development. No, that's why there was an extra bag in the 2-pack. That's why.
Okay.
I enjoyed Adira a lot in that episode. I enjoyed her bonding with Reno. Adira's not a character I care for very much on their own, but whenever you put Adira in with anyone else, any of the adult characters, they instantly become extremely endearing to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just brings out all of the adult characters kind of Adira, they bring out different things in all of the adult characters.
And maternal instincts and
or you know, like they just all of the adult characters want to help them. You know, they're all like, Adira's a good kid who's super smart and is gonna go places. Yeah. So we want them to be the best person they can be, you know?
Adira seems like a lot of what they tried to do with Wesley and didn't work, and it's working with Adira.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think because they let Adira be awkward and a smart-ass teenager and annoying, right? Like they let Stamets be, God, I hate this kid. Why are they so much smarter than me at first, right? Like, you know, like, and
Adira's relationship is what made me like Stamets. I did not like Stamets until like he started mentoring Adira, and then it's suddenly like, oh, this character has depth to him all of a sudden.
Yeah, when he's like gay dad, suddenly he's so much more like I always liked him, but he was very irritating, right? Abrasive. He's very abrasive. But I like, and as we'll talk about more, I like unlikable characters. Like, I have an affinity for them because I guess because I know what it's like to be a deeply annoying person. So I really like them, and I know what it's like to be that know-it-all person who's really like, why are you like that? I'm like, yeah, I get that. So I'm like, he's not likable, but I understand him, I guess. But he didn't really, like, I could see, I see why Hugh loves him, because he's certain ways with Hugh, but he's not like that with everybody. But with Adira really does soften a lot of Stamets, and then Zora too. Yeah. And his relationship with Zora recently, my God, they are like a superhero team.
Well, yeah, since he's decided she doesn't need to be erased, right?
Yeah, well, since he's accepting, and now that they're working together, they're just like, Zora does everything, man. Like, where would they be without Zora now?
There is. I do expect like him at some point to be like, sorry, I almost killed you.
Because you're awesome and so helpful and take so much work off my plate, and I'm so much less stressed now. Thank you.
I was just scared before.
Something I really loved too in this episode, at the end of the episode, was when Burnham, another thing about Michael being such a great captain is recognizing that Hugh is having a hard time. And not only asking to talk to him specifically, but making a Puerto Rican drink for him, which was like specifically from Puerto Rico. Like, I looked it up, and it's this fermented, I forget what it is, but it's a fermented drink from Puerto Rico. And I was like, Michael, you're the nicest person in the world. You know, like, she knew that he needed like something to remind him of home.
Yep, she's come a long way from starting an intergalactic war.
Yeah, I know, right? She's like almost a diplomat now, guys. Look at that, caring about people and what they need. But yeah, I thought that was really sweet, especially given, like I said, Hugh seems to still be really shaken by this like whole concept of, oh my God, a species could just not care that they're committing genocide. I'm like, Hugh, have you read human history?
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
what
well-
else happened in this episode?
Huh?
What else happened in this episode?
This is the episode where they kidnap Jet.
Oh
They-
yeah,
and,
okay. Which
they
was,
kidnapped
like,
Jet.
disappointing so far.
This is the episode where they turn the human ambassador.
This is the episode where they
Oh,
turn the
okay.
human ambassador, which is somewhat predictable and
Very,
somewhat
very.
annoying. Because I thought she came around and this just feels like a backslide in her character, and I just don't know if she's there to do anything but be
Yeah.
an annoying roadblock.
I think she's more like that person who's hedging all their bets. Like,
Yeah.
it can't but not do that.
Yeah, I
That's
don't know.
what
She
I
just
feel.
seems. I feel bad for the
She's just a bit
actor.
underdeveloped, I think is the.
That's what I feel like. I feel bad for the actor because they just seem to be there and complaining about everything a
Yes.
lot, and that doesn't seem fun.
No.
Also, but in this episode, they went down to the planet and found
Yep.
the hydrocarbons, and
Yes.
what you called. As soon as Gary went into that place where they're like, oh, it's all reinforced. Well, they went into this place and they're all like, it's reinforced. Gary's like, it's probably a nursery. And so I will credit Gary with calling that out right away.
Thank you.
So I wasn't sure what had happened. I had been like, maybe they left them there. Like maybe this was the planet where maybe it was a prison, like maybe they left them there to die. Maybe these are the people that they left, but no.
That was actually so that had occurred to me. I had run through a couple ideas. Nursery was one of them. I'd also been like, oh, this might be like their equivalent of the UN.
Mhm. Yeah. Gary figured it was a nursery, and so that's pretty sad. Whenever this catastrophe happened, that they couldn't save like all of these children that they had. But that's interesting. It was not only interesting how they found those things that communicate, but it's interesting how long they stay around for.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And what I also thought was great was I really loved how, despite the fact that they were all being affected by this fear hydrocarbon, they all worked to try and figure it out. It was another great Star Trek moment where, in a lot of shows, they would be like pulling out phasers and shooting each other.
Right.
They're all like, okay, we're being affected by this. This is how it spread. What did we all do that Detmer didn't do?
Yeah.
Things like that. And I'm like, I freaking love this show when they do this,
it was
right?
A great little like science huddle investigation, right?
And they just refuse to be like, the only thing I was frustrated with was like Saru not telling them at first. And I'm like, tell them, Saru, tell them.
With Saru, I understand it with him though. And like because he had that background where like this is something that used to just happen to him. And then he thought he was past it. And so I understand like the level of embarrassment he experienced from that.
It was I can see it being like a shame thing. Like I can't go back to that, right?
Yeah.
So that's understandable, but I was just a little bit like, you can tell them. So I think that's where it came from. Like, these are the people that you can trust. But he did come around eventually, and that helped. So, but also, going back to the whole trauma thing that we've said has been a thread a few times, that's why they said that Detmer was able to deal with it, right? That Detmer didn't freak out when everyone else was freaking out, and she was calm, she said, because she's been dealing with a lot of those things, right? Well, she went to therapy, and she said, because I've dealt with this sort of thing like before.
Yeah.
And then what made me really sad, and I'm like, Michael, hug Detmer for God's sake, was that, they all felt the love, that like mother's love, hydrocarbon, and Detmer said she never felt that. And I was like, oh my God, Michael, just give Detmer a hug. I know it's unprofessional, but this woman is sad. But no one did. Detmer needed a hug.
Hugh at the very least.
Yeah, Hugh should have given Detmer a hug.
I'm actually surprised Saru didn't.
Yeah, Saru could have given her a hug. But Saru said something very kind. which was beautiful. Saru is like, I keep saying this, Saru always says the perfect thing to say. He's really wonderful at that.
He fits the role of diplomat extremely well. Like I said, I was angry when the season started because I was like, oh, they're sidelining Saru by taking away his captainship again. But they've really found him a role that he is really, really well suited to.
He is, and just his compassion and thoughtfulness as a character is very impressive. And he said just some really beautiful things to people throughout the seasons.
Yeah.
Especially this season, I thought.
Yeah, no, he's been really well. I've overall loved this season, and like their character writing has been top notch.
When it makes sense, yes.
I mean,
God damn it.
always been when it makes sense. Which it usually does. Like notwithstanding the sort of the book, we have him get along with this guy because we kind of need him to move the plot forward stuff. Discovery has always had good character writing. It, for whatever other flaws, it is always right from day one had good character writing. I was a huge apologist for right from season one. I felt that like Saru, Tilly, and Michael were like my favorite Star Trek trilogy character. Or Trinity, not trilogy.
Oh, Trinity. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So, with Book and Tarka, which are sort of the other plot, they do kidnap Jet, which it has proven to be disappointing so far, but I was excited about. But yes, first off, I was excited to see Jet. I literally cheered Jet Reno when I saw her on screen. So glad she's back. Why kidnap? I was like, Tarka, if you kill Jet, I will murder you. But thankfully,
I
just kidnapped.
I think it's supposed to hint that Tarka isn't an irredeemable douchebag.
I think he's also a coward.
It's hard to consider him not irredeemable when okay, so you didn't kill this one random woman. Good for you. You're still destroying 2 entire planets.
He can't. He's a coward. He can't kill people to their face. He can only like kill people by blowing up a DMA. Yeah,
he can abstract it, but he can't.
Yeah. So I mean, one thing, Tarka can bypass Zora's sensors. So that's pretty impressive. But we knew he was smart anyway. 2, is it a little creepy that he was just watching people talk all the time for no apparent reason?
Yeah, but I think it's meant to be like it fits in with his manipulator, sort of like. He's a manipulator. That's
and his sad, lonely, Tarka-ness.
He's also
it absolutely fits.
Yeah, I was just also going to say he's also a Beta Z who's become accustomed to being isolated, right? Like someone who wasn't interacting with people on a regular occasion.
So you think he's like sort of feels isolated from people and feels like he needs to watch people to be around them or something?
Yeah, like he can't be with them. That's the closest he can get. Is kind of like
closest to interaction he can get. Yeah.
Well, really,
do you think Beta Z need to be around people though?
Well, they're empaths, right?
Do empaths need feelings though? I don't know. Maybe they're used to them after a while, but it might be, a relief not to feel them.
Well,
I don't know. It's
what you were exposed to, right? Think about like who's in a green chain prison or emerald chain prison.
I guess it depends. Like maybe there's introvert and extrovert empaths, like the ones that get energy from people's emotions and ones that like are drained by people's emotions. It'd be interesting. I guess there's just no way to know because it's not like they've made this stuff up or anything like that. It's not like they have all theories about this sort of thing. In any case, Anne Book goes and convinces Nadoye to help them destroy the DMA, which, I mean, is a fine conversation. It makes a certain amount of sense at the time, I suppose, because, Michael's still down on the planet and they're still trying to figure stuff out. They still don't have a way to connect communicate with the 10C. So it's not a completely out of left field thing for Ndoye to do at that point in
No,
time.
it doesn't bother me. They haven't. Yeah, I thought it was fine. I thought it was a fine plot twist. Ndoye's barely a character, which I think is the big issue there.
Yeah, I didn't see much of an issue then. I thought the nice thing for Ndoye that Ndoye did that was kind of made her more of a character is she gave Book the opportunity to see Michael come back to the ship and that she was alive through like some sort of view screen or something, which was nice. And then Book went back to his ship. So there you go. That's that episode. It was a pretty good episode. I was very interested also in the whole hydrocarbon thing and how that was going to work because they found a whole bunch on the planet.
Like I said, them doing like the away mission and then going to this nursery, that was a classic Trek. That's all the stuff that I want from Trek.
Mm-hmm. No, it totally. And them, even though they were freaking out and having emotions, them like being like, "We're gonna science out of this." That's the best stuff.
And them solving the problems with A, science, B, feelings. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Perfect Star Trek.
Yeah, it was beautiful. So, Species 10C, which was the most recent one, which is such a good episode, except for this part where they're like, but there has to be a finale, so we need to screw everything up. That is my opinion. But that's just me. Discovery releases the hydrocarbon representing peace onto the hyperfield. It is soon pulled into the structure and surrounded by an unknown substance. They do it with dots, and they also lose the dots. Let's not forget that all the dots get sucked in. And it looks like a big water tentacle. Members of Species 10C respond with more hydrocarbons and a light pattern, which they also skip the part where Discovery gets sucked in. Yes, Discovery also gets sucked in by the giant water tentacle into the sphere. That's very important. Members of Species 10C respond with more hydrocarbons and a light pattern, which the crew deciphers as a bridge language similar to Linkos that uses mathematical equations because the Federation species are not smart enough to communicate in the Species 10C's language. We are monkeys. 10C uses the language to question why the DMA was destroyed by Tarka's weapons after Michael and Saru and a few others go down to the planet. And the crew are able to communicate their fear of the DMA. On Book's ship, Tarka plans to use Ndoye to ignite a plasma scream from Discovery that will allow them to escape the sphere and fly directly to the DMA's power source. Because he's a crazy fucker.
Yeah.
Reno realizes that if Tarka takes the power source now, it will destroy the hyperfield and all inside it, and likely still destroy Earth and Navarre. Book confronts Tarka about this, but Tarka uses his upgrades to the ship to restrain Book. As the crew of Discovery attempt to ask 10C to withdraw the DMA, Ndoye enacts Tarka's plan, and Book's ship escapes. The 10C members stop communicating. Reno is able to get a message to Burnham explaining Tarka's plan, and that everyone will die.
Yeah, another great episode. This is a great First Contact episode.
For sure.
It was so Arrival influenced. It was crazy that when like they showed up, I was like, break out the whiteboard. It's the best way to do it. That's the proven method. Proven method is a whiteboard.
Yeah, it was really influenced by Arrival. Like, super influenced by Arrival. Which is fine. Arrival's like one of my all-time favorite movies.
No, not mad about that at all. Not mad about that at all. No, it was great. And it had some super sciencing wherein Michael was like, I can't science hard enough with the people I have here. I need my bridge crew who can science in different ways, who will help me figure it out. And you know what? They did. They did it. It was amazing. It was like super cool, and it was just one of those things where it's like you just need people with different perspectives that are equally smart in different ways to figure out the solution to a problem. And the solution is basically that the hydrocarbons are the language, and the light pattern that they distribute is the key.
I mean,
Yeah.
the fact that that was the one thing I found like mildly frustrating was I was like, well, obviously the hydrocarbons are language. Like I figured that out.
Yeah, they were like,
Right
how
away.
can emotions be language? I'm like, screw you guys. Like, your whole theme this whole season has been about connection between people and emotion being connection. And then you're like, how can emotions be language? You know, that was a little heavy-handed. But, you know, it was cool. It was a very cool way of doing it. I liked it a lot. Like, how can you communicate through emotions? I'm like, lots of ways.
Yeah, once you got past that into them like actually crunching me, like, okay, how do we figure this out? I was like, all right, now we're here. Now
we're cooking with gas. That's right. This is the good stuff. Yeah, the only real frustrating things I found about this episode is Jet Reno was unable to do anything, and I'm like, that doesn't track. The only scarier person on that ship is Stamets. And I feel like they should be able to monkey wrench some shit up pretty bad.
She did monkey wrench a communicator.
But they limited it, right? Because she couldn't bypass Book's security system.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that doesn't make any freaking sense whatsoever.
I love the bit with the licorice when she asked for it. I was like, oh shit, she's gonna do something with that, right? And like the payoff was like, well, okay, she made a communicator that doesn't work.
And then she talked about her dead wife.
Yeah. And then she made a communicator that doesn't work, and she I didn't even mind but like, and then when they finally did get to work, it was too late. Like everyone knew.
Yeah.
I know. And that's kind of what I'm frustrated with, because I'm like, you could have taken anyone hostage then. Like, why take the person who survived for how long on a space station, who's like one of the best engineers in Starfleet ever? Like, I'm just a little frustrated with that. And if she does something next episode, I'm gonna be like, so frustrated.
Also, she unnecessary as the means of communication. Like, Book also gets imprisoned by the end of this when he clashes with Tarka. So, he could have sent a message.
He had the codes.
He could have been the source.
Why was that communicator necessary? Yeah.
It's his ship.
And just Book in general is just... Book should not be trusting him this much. No. And going, oh, let's light a plasma fire and blow this open while they're communicating. That sounds like a good plan. And even Ndoye saying, oh, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and do this while they're communicating. She's like, oh, it's just too slow. I'm like, well, you were right there when they figured it out. Like, I feel like a lot of decisions here were just... The only frustrating thing were the decisions made to make it like the finale conflict happen. I feel like were just decisions made to make the finale conflict happen. And there were some really cool things happening with Tensi and communicating that were destroyed to make the finale conflict happen.
Yeah, well, they need to have a conflict, right, for the season finale. We'll see where it's going. I'm still overall really enjoying this. Like, this is way better than finale season 3.
Oh yeah, no, I enjoyed the episode immensely. I was just, by the last 10 minutes, I was like, oh, why?
I felt it ended really suddenly.
Yes. I almost thought it was the last episode. I was glad to see it wasn't, because I said to Gary, I was like, is that it? Is that it?
Yeah. Like, I remember I was watching it, and then it felt like the show just ended.
Yeah.
There was a point where I thought it ended earlier, and I thought that was it.
Yes.
And I was like, and he was like, they would end it like that. And I'm like, no. And then it went to the point where Michael was like, Jet sends the message. But I thought that was the end of the season. And I was like, I was so mad for a minute. At least it's not the end of the season.
Discovery's never, there's one more episode left. Discovery's never ended on a cliffhanger before, so I'd be surprised they did this time.
I was just deeply frustrated with the last 10 minutes, because I was like, this is all exciting first contact stuff, and then just like,
and then action stuff go.
Yeah, and I mean, I expected it to happen because Tarka
Yeah.
Yeah, they were working towards it. Like
100%.
it definitely didn't come out of nowhere, but I get
No,
you.
no, for sure. So another thing I really kind of enjoyed was Hirai's look of uh, massive excitement and then deep disappointment. The linguist for the xenolinguist for the Federation, when Rillick said Hirai and then told him he wouldn't be coming with Michael and the rest of them.
The guy who's always eating.
Yeah. So he looked like he had been waiting for this to happen his entire life, especially when the 10C showed up. He was like, it was like, this is the thing I've been waiting to happen my entire life. That was the look on his face. Yeah. And then Rillick says his name and he's like, oh my God, I'm going to meet the aliens. And then she's like, you should stay here. And he looked like someone shot his puppy.
Yeah, because this is the guy who watched Arrival and was like, I'm going to do that job. And then the aliens show up. He's like, I'm going to do the job. And then they're like, you should wait behind.
Yep. I felt really bad for him, but I'm like, man, good job, Hiro Kanagawa. Like you acted the shit out of that. That was awesome. Like, you know, I felt really bad for you there. Like 100%.
It's especially effective because the guy's kind of an arrogant jerk.
Yes, it is, because I mean, it is really effective because he hasn't been like Rillick had to say, my dude, stop being so negative. You're bringing everyone down. Like, you know, if you don't have anything nice to say, like, stop fucking saying it because.
I think it was more, could you just say something nice?
Could you say something nice once in a while? This crew is trying to kill themselves to do this, and
they're a little stressed out.
You're just kind of an asshole. But yeah, like it was great. So he looked like everything he had dreamed of since he was a little boy. It was coming true. He's like, I'm gonna meet the aliens that no one else has met. But then she's like, no. And I mean, it makes total sense. He's the one who can communicate best with them, and if things go wrong, like 110%, he should be there. But it was like, man, she just knocked that ice cream cone out of his hand.
Actually, you know what we talked about how this was influenced by Arrival, which it definitely was, but it was also very influenced by Contact.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, like, totally.
Definitely the scene with them being like, oh, it brought us back to the bridge, and then like, oh, it put us someplace we would feel familiar. Like that was all right out of Contact.
100%. So do you need you want to take a second, like a 5-minute break, and then we can go on to Picard, talk about maybe the next episode and go on to Picard, because I think Gary needs to stand up for a sec. Yeah. So
I could probably use a drink.
All right, so we are just going to take 5 minutes. We will be right back, and after that, we will talk about what's going to happen in the 13th episode, the season finale of Discovery, and then we will move on to Picard. Be right back. Okay, hello. So, welcome back. Hello. So we will just chat briefly.
Let me get the camera to focus on this.
Oh, what's that? Is it a
It
book?
is a Lego book
Moby Brick.
with a Lego piece where the whale would be.
Oh my goodness. That is too cute and ridiculous.
It is held by this guy who's clearly looking for a date. There's a little flower in a book. Clearly he's going on a date, and that is his gift.
No, let's hope that works out for him. I don't know if I give Moby Brick to a date personally, but I don't know.
It is a choice in literature. Maybe she's brushing up, or he. We don't know. So he's going for women. Maybe the person he's dating is trying to get into classic literature.
It's possible. It's possible. So, what do we think is going to happen? Star Trek Discovery finale.
There'll be a big action sequence with Tarka.
Oh, bless you.
Sorry.
Big action sequence to Tarka.
Yeah. Tarka will do something that will threaten the Tennessee.
Tarka will do something.
There'll be an action scene. There'll be some fighting, probably space combat. I don't think there'll be a fight scene. This cast, other than Michelle Yeoh, is not particularly, and Michelle Yeoh is gone from the show, not particularly good at physical combat.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They're good at shootouts. They can do shootouts. They can do space combat just fine, but they're not trained fighters in the shows. So there's going to be probably some space combat, probably some emergencies. It'll be like the red alert will be sounded.
For sure.
Then they're going to save the day, and the Tennessee may not join the Federation because they're more advanced than the Federation, but peace will be secured. Tennessee will stop the destruction of Earth, and the season will be over with a happy note.
I think you're probably correct on that. I think one thing that will probably seal Tarka's fate in this situation is he is not a pilot. And bookship is seems particularly complex. And it does not seem like something you want to be flying if you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah.
Especially against Discovery and Detmer. I would not want to fly against Detmer if I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
Because she flies good.
And Detmer, like, she looked at like 900 year technology that was 900 years more advanced than what she's used to and was able to just fly it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Detmer was like, yeah, I can do it. It's cool. Got it. She's a good flyer.
Yeah. Detmer knows what she's doing.
I would like more of Detmer. I would honestly like more of any of them, but
I would like more of a lot of the auxiliary crew.
Oishikun wears eyeshadow to match her tunic when she's on the bridge. I enjoyed that quite a bit. Oishikun and her eyeshadow is fabulous. It's always very very highly pigmented. I enjoy it a lot.
Detmer and Oishikun is like the big ship right now. A lot of people are shipping them.
I'm sure it is. I don't care whether they're friends or together. I just really like them backing each other up. That's the main thing I care about. Yeah. As long as they have each other's backs, that's the main thing I give a shit about. Which is what I really enjoy about their relationship is they're just always like, you're the best. No, you're the best. No, you're the best. You can do it. And that's honestly what I like about Discovery in general is like they're just much like the turning red behind the scenes thing. It's like just a compliments festival. So
I've been talking to a lot of people from our old LARP scene about Star Trek because I post about it a lot on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the only thing I ever talk to these people about. But one of our old mutuals was talking about how like they don't like how dark Discovery is, and I'm just like, are we?
I think I
watching
saw
the
that
same
comment.
show?
I can't remember who made it, but I was very surprised because I'm like,
I remember who made it. I just don't want to name them on a.
no, that's okay. I'm just like to myself, I can't remember. Yeah.
But like, it's just like, are we watching the same show? Like, I'll give them previous seasons of Discovery. Even season 3 was pretty dark, but this season has been like super optimistic.
Yeah, season
Like-
1 with super evil Captain Guy.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, for
like-
sure.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, it's dark in the sense that it has like some serious stakes. But like the whole point of being like, no, we can solve this we can solve this like world-ending crisis with diplomacy. That's like, how do you get more optimistic than that?
Yeah.
Michael the whole time has been like, no, we will not shoot these people. We
Yeah.
will not shoot these species. We will communicate with them because that is Starfleet, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
That is what we do. We communicate and we use diplomacy. We do not kill.
I would also say like the dark show is Picard. If you're gonna look at anything and you're gonna call it dark, it's that one.
I mean, it was a conversation about Picard that this happened in, but they also were like, and it's not just Picard, it's Discovery. And I was like, what?
Really?
Discovery is so like, everything can be great, guys. They're like, the Federation is terrible and has hidden off and no longer talks to everyone. It's like Discovery shows up and it's like, you guys should be the Federation again and be awesome and help everyone. And they're like, you know what, Michael and Discovery, you're right. We should help everyone because you're just so good and amazing that we just are overwhelmed with your goodness. We can't distrust anymore. We
Like,
just love you.
It's yeah, like Discovery is, especially this season. Like I said, I understand the criticism about past seasons, but this season has been nothing but like Boy Scout count, Boy Scout.
Well, even last season they show up and everybody's like, we don't trust you, and they're like, that's okay, we're gonna help. You know, like, and then they're like, and then this season Vance is like, I trust you, Michael. You're my best captain. Go on secret missions. I trust you to do what's right. You know, It's like, come on, guys. So, I mean, obviously, everything's going to work out for the best in the end. Something's going to happen to Tarka. I don't know what. We'll figure it out. I don't think he's going to die.
No, I don't think.
I think that would be too easy.
I wonder if
Really?
I wonder if he'll get a happy ending. Like, I wonder if we'll find out what happened to his boyfriend.
No, I feel like he might just explode, right? Like he's gonna do I'm gonna teleport to the other dimension and he's gonna die.
I would love a Twilight Zone ending for him where he gets to the other dimension and there's like, that guy isn't there and there's nothing there. He's just by himself or something like
Desolate
that.
Wasteland.
Yeah, well, even if it's perfectly peaceful, but there's no one else there or something, right?
Or if like, maybe they'll do the scene where he like half transports and then he gets confirmation that his boyfriend is on the other side and then he dies before the transport's completed. Yeah,
just something, but even just like that whole like all the time in the world ending where that guy breaks his glasses when he's got all the books, that sort of thing, right? Like, I would love that kind of Pyrrhic. Yeah, I would love that Pyrrhic victory. You know what I mean? But we'll see.
Like a bookcase.
Yep. Oh, so cute.
Speaking of book, my prediction for him is jail.
Oh, really?
I think he'll be put under. I think he'll be put under house arrest on discovery.
Probably.
Well, we'll end with him being thrown in the break, right? Like it'll be Michael is disappointed. What does the future hold for their relationship?
Yeah, that's the interesting question, really. I mean, like, can you get over your boyfriend helping out a guy who set your ship on plasma fire and fucked up your, communication first contact situation? And
other than trusting Tarka when he very clearly shouldn't have, Book's motivations are very sympathetic.
Well,
so I think I can see the Federation going very lightly on him. But he can't get away with no punishment.
Yeah.
What were you going to
Which is
say?
why I expect him to be relinquished into Michael's custody. That way they don't write him out of the show.
No, what were you going to say,
I
Gary?
don't remember. It doesn't matter.
Sorry.
I don't remember. Go ahead. Just go ahead.
All right. Okay. Well, so yeah, you both thinking that Michael is going to end up having to be Book's jailer and see what happens. See what happens there with that.
Yeah. Like, he's too good a character for them to write out.
I'm certain they won't write him out.
He's too central.
Well, she's gonna have to. I was just gonna say she's gonna have to transport him back to the Federation to stand trial or something, right? They wouldn't do it on the ship.
They got the president there. They might.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point. They have the president and a number of diplomats that represent a number of planets. So
I don't think they will. I'm inclined to agree with you, but they could.
Well, I think it really depends on whether they can get past the galactic barrier. I think that's still a question, right?
Right.
Like, so they might be stuck out there and with the president, which is an interesting sort of.
Oh, yeah. The other thing I was going to say is Reno told them his Tarkus calculations when he does this whole detonation of the DMA, that it will cause a spatial rift that will float in towards Earth and likely just destroy it anyways.
Yeah.
It'll just take longer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why Reno had to get kidnapped, was for her to deliver that line, because only her.
She's the only one who could figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Only she could see the calculations. It was like she'd be the only one of the only people who could do that.
Yeah, it would be her or Stamets. They're the only two that would be able to figure it out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, they have to basically make some sort of contact and make up with the 10C in some way to get them to stop the DMA, because that's the only way it's going to work. That Earth is going to be saved.
I am pretty sure that the 10C will end up stopping the DMA. I don't think that that's when they're going to carry that plot into season 5.
No, I don't think so either. It's been going on far too long now, I think, probably.
Discovery has also never carried plots over from season to season.
Well, this one they did. Wasn't the DMA from last season too?
No.
Oh, I thought it was at the beginning of last season.
No,
maybe. They're just all blending together. Oh, well.
Yeah, well, because you binge watched all of season 3 right before getting season 4.
Yeah, exactly. That's why. Exactly. So, yeah, for sure, like, Discovery does not end on a bad note very often, so I don't see that happening unless they surprise us. So that's entirely possible. So we'll move on to, as we were saying, the much darker Picard, which
Picard is fucking dark.
Yeah, it's really gone there, and it was, and I think it's much more confident than season 1 Picard. Far.
Picard this season, I mean, we're only 2 episodes in, but so far this season Picard knows what he's fucking doing.
Yes, I agree completely with that, but I also feel like the darkness to it started in the first season.
Oh, it certainly did. Yeah.
Like,
I mean, they're clearly going for a, like, be the light in the darkness theme. That's clearly core theme. Like, the whole idea. I mean, ultimately this is also what Discovery did last season.
Yes, yeah, and they're doing some of that, but definitely it's gone a lot darker than it did in the last season. And I think Gary, this is something Gary talked about a little bit when we were talking about it earlier. He felt like last season was much more uneven.
Yes,
and I think that's what we were talking about. The season seems like it's much more
cohesive, or
at least to start. Cohesive. It knows where it's going. The only thing that we really mentioned was, again, there's some stuff happening because of story again. But that's not the end of the world. So the first episode, we start with the Stargazer. And if we want to talk as we were saying just before we came on, everything is super self-referential. And in Star Trek right now,
Stargazer was a bit contrived.
Well, everything is, we were just saying, like I said, everything in Star Trek is super self-referential right now, and Picard is even more so. And I mean, I think you can get away with it with Lower Decks, and I don't even mind Q's lines a little bit later because he's Q. But yeah, we'll get into it. So, the Stargazer, retired Admiral Jean-Luc Picard, rejects the romantic advances of his housekeeper, Laris, a year and a half after the death of her partner, Jabon. R.I.P. Jabon. He was awesome.
They killed Picard's polyamorous boyfriend, and I'm not here for it.
Apparently, his polyamorous girlfriend is here for it, though. After giving a speech to a new class of cadets, including his former ward, Elnor, the Romulan ninja, is in his role of Chancellor of Starfleet Academy. Picard visits his old friend and bartender, Guinan, to talk about his lifelong avoidance of romantic relationships. And you would laugh, but that is exactly what happens. In deep space, Captain Chris Rios and Dr. Agnes Girardi of the USS Stargazer investigate an anomaly that broadcasts a request to negotiate entry into the Federation with Picard. While escorting Soji on a diplomatic mission, which they leave out. She is on a planet. They are joined by 7 of 9 vigilante flying La Serena and a fleet of starships, including the USS Excelsior, which has Elnor and Picard's old first officer, Raffi Musiker, on board. When Picard arrives aboard, the ship emerges from the anomaly and transports their queen onto the Stargazer. The queen begins assimilating the entire fleet, prompting Picard to initiate the Stargazer self-destruct. After the explosion, Picard wakes up in a version of his home and is greeted by the extra-dimensional being Q, who is returned to test Picard again. I think test Picard and humanity again. So maybe Picard. This time.
The test never ends. It's not
the test never ends.
It never ended. It's the same test.
It's the same test. And it was humanity, but it feels a little more personal in the second episode. But we'll get there.
Q gets angry.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. It's very different Q. But the first episode, it's a little bit of like setting things up. Some stuff happened in between the episodes, and we're not really sure what they are. But Chris and Agnes dated, and now they don't. And 7 and Raffi dated, and now they don't. And Elnor is in Starfleet Academy.
Yeah. So I think there's an implication that 7 and Raffi aren't wholly broken up. They're just sort of broken up. Like
they're on a break.
Yeah, that's the vibes I got from them.
Yeah, there's something in the next episode about like commitment issues. So yeah, they seem to be having some sort of argument of some kind.
Yeah.
But everyone in this has commitment issues, apparently.
Yes.
Because that's what a lot of people seem to argue about. In any case, this was a really good episode. I very much enjoyed watching it, but it was a lot of setup. Not a lot happened it was just mostly to get them to the anomaly, right?
I have to say, I have higher expectations of this season of Picard based off where episode 1 is, and while it feels more confident, I enjoyed episode 1, season 1 of Picard more.
No, I get what you're saying. It was just because, like, when I enjoyed watching it. I enjoy it. When I think about it, but like when I read this recap and I kind of think about it, it's not a bad episode, but it's mostly let's just get everyone to where we need them to be.
Yeah. It's let's catch everyone up on where they are, and then let's get everyone to where they need to be. Because it does feel a little contrived that everyone just happens to be on the Stargazer when this happens. Like the entire cast of the previous season, minus one character.
Three.
7
is on La Serena, and Elnor and Raffi are on Excelsior.
Right. Okay, but everyone is at that.
Everyone ends up at the same place, and that's pretty contrived. Still, space is big, people. Everyone goes to the Borg, right? But the thing I did like about it is they had like this conversation in the ready room about ethically what they should do. And, you know, Seven is like, it's the fucking Borg, people.
Yeah, good.
We can't trust the Borg. And they're, and again, it's a very Discovery conversation where they're like, no, we have to try and be diplomatic. We can't just shoot them again. And Seven's like, never trust the fucking Borg. And go on.
It's a great scene because everyone is right.
Everyone is right. Everyone is right. And I think Picard even really, because Seven and Picard are all like, never trust the fucking Borg. And Picard has to try and fight that, I think. Yeah. Fight that instinct because, you know, he wants to. And I even said to Gary when Seven says she's assimilating the ship, like her line read, Jerry Ryan's line read on that is so good because it's just, she's assimilating the ship. Like, I told you so. Yeah. Like, just, I knew this would happen.
I was also irritated with the delayed reaction time. Like, everyone here is dealt with the Borg.
Oh, right? Yeah.
They know the Borg gets up to shenanigans, so like you have to be prepared. And like when the Borg Queen like appears on their ship and sticks the tendrils into the two nearby consoles, Seven, Rios, someone should have just been like bam bam, you know, blasting those things just out of the cuff, right?
Yeah.
She can still go in and plug herself into the rest of the ship. There's plenty of it around.
Yeah.
But, you know, at least something.
Yeah, no one did anything. Gary's like, someone do something. Yeah. And they're just all like standing there.
And they know firing at a Borg like after the first shot is useless. So they have personal force fields.
And that would have set up that would have set the second scene where she deflects back their shots. Because it could have been like, okay, you got the first shot, you were able to shoot that tentacle, you're not going to get another one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At least it would have been something. I mean, like, I think it is frustrating to just see them not do anything. And
or be completely ineffective.
Yeah.
I don't even necessarily mind them being ineffective. It's the Borg. Like, the Borg have always proven to be, like, the hardest thing for them to deal with because they're so adaptable.
Agreed. But like you should have like a little Pyrrhic victory, right? Like,
yeah, there should have been. They should have at least like been on top of their game enough to at least try, even if they failed.
Yes.
Or they didn't even have what I'm thinking now. I didn't think of it till now. I'm just thinking now is they didn't even have a plan about what to do if the Borg were attacking and not in trouble. Like they're just like, well, maybe they're in trouble. We should talk to them. I'm like, okay, so what are what do you do if they're not? What if it's a trap? Like,
you've also gathered a small armada, right? Like, there's a fleet of ships hanging out there. They need standing orders.
Yeah.
No, not really. So, I mean, I didn't mind it. Also, I felt like it would have been nice to have a little more kind of like information about how people ended up where they are. Because I'm like,
it really does throw you in the deep end. How is
Chris Rios like a captain now? I guess he's like Picard did him a solid and was like, this guy's a good.
I'm sure it's nepotism.
I mean, I'm sure it's nepotism too. I'm sure it's all nepotism, but I'm like, oh, look, Raffi's back in Starfleet.
Yeah.
And sitting on the stage. What the fuck, really?
Raffi and Rios are back in Starfleet with like no consequences.
And very high up in Starfleet. I mean, Raffi basically like got booted because she was like because of Picard and she was a conspiracy theorist. But I mean, like, it wasn't like she was, you know, and she was smoking the weed or whatever too much, right? But she wasn't like a bad person. Like, Rios is like a sketchy smuggler dude, isn't he? Like, I don't know.
Come on, Agnes is now a diplomat, like visiting the Outer Rings with her.
Agnes the murderer, yeah, and she's telling people, I killed people.
They did at least address why she was exonerated. Which is exactly what I figured it was going to be.
That was fine. Yeah, entirely. Agnes. Oh,
like, for sure, but it's at the diplomatic face you put on like people meeting synthetics.
Yeah,
especially ones that tried to like murder everyone.
Mm-hmm. No, totally. No, it's just ridiculous. So, like, I don't know.
It's
Whatever.
ridiculous in a very Star Trekky way, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's true. But it was just kind of funny in that sense. Like I don't mind Agnes though. A lot of people are annoyed by Agnes. I've seen in like comments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I find her freaking hilarious. And again, like I said,
Very relatable to me.
that's what I said too. I mean, I said that's why I was gonna say I like unlikable characters, and I find her incredibly relatable because yeah, she has a lot of issues. And the unbelonging thing in the second episode was quite relatable too. But yeah, I mean, this was mostly to get people to this alternate timeline that they end up in, which is interesting because they all die. Basically, as the point I think we skip over is Picard does initiate the self-destruct, and it's not like the self-destruct doesn't happen. It blows up.
You see the ship blow up.
It blows up. Everyone's dead, and then Picard like wakes up in his, Chateau Picard or whatever it is. Except it's like, like, our Earth, I guess. That's what I said when I looked. He's like, "Oh, it's terrible here, and they've destroyed this Earth." I'm like, "Oh shit, it's our Earth for sure." Then,
yeah, that's where I that's what I took from it as well. This is like, oh, they're doing the this is what happens in our future as opposed to the alternate future. Because like one thing Star Trek doesn't really touch on a lot is that technically it's an alternate future. Because, like, by now the eugenics wars have happened.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And we have not had eugenics war. So since we're sort of, like, moving into the second episode, I'll read the second episode synopsis real quick. It's called Penance. And Picard learns that he and his companions are in an alternate timeline where humanity has formed the xenophobic Confederation of Earth. Subtle. Systematically erasing or enslaving alien races. Picard, the Confederation's greatest military commander, has been granted the honor of executing the last Borg Queen by 7 of 9, who is Annika Hansen, president of the Confederation and married to the Magistrate, who is played by Soji's dad in real life.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, John Briones is Issa Briones' dad, which I feel like has a point to that. I feel like they wouldn't have done that for no reason.
Yeah, I agree. That does not sound accidental. Mm-hmm. I felt weird about that character because I was like, this character feels significant. I have no idea who the fuck he is.
Well, I mean, there's a clue right there.
Yeah.
He's Soji's actual dad. The group reunite and learn from the Borg Queen that they can prevent the Confederation's formation by traveling to Los Angeles in 2024, which they can only do with the Queen's help. 2024, Los Angeles, home of the Bell riots in the sanctuary districts. Very interesting. Agnes, Raffi, and Elnor take control of communication and transporter systems in Confederation headquarters while Seven and Picard buy time at the public execution. Badly and drawn out, writers. As the crowd and the Magistrate grow concerned with their stalling, the others complete their objectives, and Picard, Seven, Agnes, Raffi, Elnor, and the Queen are beamed to Rios' ship. They are preparing to initiate time travel when the Magistrate and security officers beam aboard, shoot and wound Elnor, and prepare to execute them all for treason.
Yep.
There we go. So, in this timeline, it's an alternate timeline, and like you were just saying, RC, they think that, like, apparently Star Trek is an alternate timeline. So, Picard and them could potentially be in all our alternate timeline. I mean, in our timeline, just in the future.
I mean, we know from the promo material they're going back to 2024.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. From the promo material, they're going back to 2 years into our future.
And they said it in this episode too, like directly. Yeah. And we've seen that they are there in the promo material too.
So we know that this is what the like I was surprised that they didn't. I was like, oh, okay, this is gonna be another episode of them getting to where they need to be, and I figured that it would end with them traveling to 2024. But there was an extra complication at the end, so I was surprised to see that. I was surprised that they didn't rush through. But it was weird that like it was structurally it's weird. We had 2 episodes of like, here's where everyone is, get them all together. We split them all apart, get them all together again.
Yeah, there was some issues with that for sure. One thing I'm wondering is where Soji is though. If she just doesn't exist, or if she's another synthetic somewhere out there.
That's where hiring the dude who played her, who is her dad, it might be relevant.
Possibly. So Gary, have you watched DS9 pretty recently? Yeah, or
Yeah.
Do you want to explain the whole Bell Riot situation in 2024?
Oh God.
I also watched I haven't finished watching DS9, but I also did watch the Bell Riots episple pretty.
Okay, so there you go, RC, if you can explain it, because Gary's a little fuzzy on it right now.
So the Bell Riots were LA in 2024 in the world of Star Trek, much like LA in present day reality, has a massive homeless problem. And the solution to these massive homeless problems is they start cordoning off basically ghettos. And these ghettos become like sort of largely unlivable. And I forget the detail. Some it's been about 2 years since I last watched the episode. It might be a little fuzzy. But some individuals who are forced to live in these slums, these ghettos, decide that they're not going to take it anymore, and they Gary, do you remember what building it is they take hostage?
Well, is it a food depot or something? Like it was some sort of distribution?
Yeah, I want to say a bank, but that sounds wrong.
A bank. It was some sort of like resource place that the local government was using.
And I want to say it's Gabriel Bell. That's the person's name, because I believe in DS9 he dies and Cisco has to take over.
That's exactly how that played out.
Yeah. And so the thing that I read said something like, because of these riots being publicized, it changed people's opinions about how people lived.
Yeah, and I mean, it didn't solve the problem in and of itself, but it was a major turning point for Earth. What solved the problem of Earth's history was the Vulcans showing up. Yeah. Here I've called up a wiki on it. I'm just going to read the synopsis of it here. Early in the morning of September 1st, a fight between a guard and a dim sparked a riot, wherein the Ghost, led by the BC. Okay, maybe I'm going to read just the section on the riot, but I think I have to read all the stuff too. By the 2020s, the American government, reacting to a serious problem of homelessness and unemployment, created a special security district, essentially walled off section of the city grid in most major cities. Unfortunately, while established with the benevolent intent of providing housing and food, as well as prospects for future employment, the sanctuary quickly degenerated into inhuman internment camps for the poor, even though people with criminal records were not allowed inside the sanctuaries. It didn't take long for the homeless and unemployed to be joined by the mentally ill and other more violent social outcasts. These groups were referred to in slang terms as the Gimmies, the Dims, and the Ghosts. By 2024, 20 square blocks that made up the Sanctuary District had become overcrowded slums, with the record of people inside the sanctuary not uploaded to the planetary computer network, and therefore not accessible to using the an interface. The true conditions inside were unknown to the general public. The American Society believed that. So that's what it was. Is that no one had any idea what was going on inside the slums, and so what Cisco did is he uploaded like a documentary on the conditions of the slums, which made it known to the general pop what was going on.
Mm-hmm. And so that started the steps on the way to creating the Federation.
Well, I mean, yeah, like I said, I mean, even if you watch, because we watched First Contact over on Christmas, or New Year's, sometime around then.
New Year's, yeah.
Like, it really is the Vulcans showing up that is like what changes human history.
But they wouldn't have shown up if humans hadn't developed enough compassion and things for people and a warp drive, basically, right?
I really thought it was the warp drive that did it.
It was the warp drive.
So all they care about is the warp drive. They don't care if you're
science.
feeding people. That's great.
Well, it's because they had a first contact rule, which is if your science wasn't advanced enough, if you're not a warp-faring race, then we can't talk to you. Right, because we unduly influence you.
Yes. Oh, got
had
it.
been monitoring humanity for longer than that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that is what, like, it was only the warp drive that got us to step beyond just monitoring.
I feel like we were under one of those like zoology warning advisements, like don't go into this area. You might
anthropology. Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, this was another episode of having to bring people together, but what I kind of enjoyed was seeing where people were. I guess Anna K. Hansen, president of the Confederation, was kind of entertaining. The graphic that she looks at, she gets a briefing on, Seven gets a briefing on the war against Vulcan. The Vulcan refers to the Vulcan home world as Vulcan, and then in brackets Navarre, suggesting that Romulan and Vulcan unification took place sooner because of Earth aggression.
I was going to say, them having to deal with Earth aggression makes sense that it would take place sooner.
Everyone freaked out, of course, about the mention of General Sisko. And I found out just searching about that because at first I was like, well, maybe it's Jake. That would be interesting.
No, it's totally going to be it's totally going to be Ben Sisko.
And the interesting thing about Ben Sisko is I looked up something, and apparently Cyril Lofton said that it's not that Avery Brooks doesn't want to act. It's just that he has been more or less kind of blocked from it over the last years.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that the industry has not really been helpful to him.
Well,
so
they blackballed him basically.
They've blacklisted him in a lot of ways.
Why? Do we know?
He didn't really go into it and just said he hasn't been given the same opportunities, but I'm guessing he's like an outspoken black man and isn't willing to put up with a lot of bullshit from what I can tell.
Like, yeah, if he pulled a Ray Fisher, like we saw what happened to Ray Fisher when Ray Fisher spoke out.
Mm-hmm. So. And I mean, you don't even need to speak out publicly. So I would guess he's just not willing to put up with a lot, and good for him, really.
Yeah.
And the status report that she sees talks about Colonel Cristobal Rios commanding a squadron against Vulcan and their field commander Tuvok. Earth Forces commanders under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Tasha Yar holding back the Andorian Rebellion, and details on a Dominion Alliance war under the watchful leadership of General Miles O'Brien.
Like I said, everything Star Trek has to be self-referential now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Jesus, I missed all of that. There's also a lot of like other more.
It's on the thing. Like, I didn't even see that. Like, I'm just reading it off of like trekcore.com. So credit to them for doing that. But yeah, there's all kinds of references on that.
I mean, that's the sort of thing where you do want references. If it's just like a brief doc that people can like zoom in and read, that's where references I think like that really do belong.
Yeah. Speaking of other references, but much creepier ones, General Picard's skull room. Holy crap!
That's
what's trophy room?
His skull room. What the fuck, you guys?
Trophy room. He hunted all those races.
Yeah, the Grand Nagas with the Grand Nagas like staff. What the hell, man? How hard was that guy to kill? What the fuck?
This is where we get into like how dark Picard actually is. Is that like, so I'm going to call it the Mirror Universe Picard, even though like it's technically not the Mirror Universe. It's the Mirror Universe with the
mirror timeline or something. I don't know.
It's the Mirror Universe with the serial number filed off. Like it's the Mirror Universe. Like they probably couldn't use mirror universe for continuity reasons because Earth has fallen. Like because in DS9, the other alien races like fuck Earth up.
Mhm.
Like they got tired of the fascist bullshit, teamed up and wrecked our shit.
So what is the difference? Let's just talk about that for a second. What is the difference between an alternate universe and an alternate timeline? Is there a difference?
No. The
alternate universe is a dimensional shift, right?
Yeah. Like there might
and an alternate timeline, is that a different dimension?
There might be some continuity wooge that will explain it, but for all intents and purposes on narrative level, they're the same thing.
They are exactly the same thing. It's just how they manifest is basically different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is an alternate dimension, but it's just been manifested by a change to the timeline.
In the timeline. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. And the change to the timeline is probably has to do with the giant statue, right? So the giant statue that's like good Earth, a safe Earth is a human Earth. That was Brent Spiner saying a safe Earth is a human Earth, right? And so that's probably a statue, and it said the guy saying that is Adam Soong. So it's another Spiner Soong character, and that's probably who they're going back to see in 2024.
Makes sense.
Is he the Watcher? You know what I would like to be the Watcher? I would like the Watcher to be Wesley Crusher, as Gary suggested.
Yeah,
I don't think that's going to happen, though. That would be a nice way to bring back Wesley, I think.
I don't think Wesley's going to come back for this season.
I don't. I think we'd hear about it if he was.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there'd be any like secrets about
This
that.
was just more like in a perfect world what the writing could be like.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah. So Q is a lot of Q's malevolence is really in that trophy room scene, and then later on when he actually smacks Picard around.
Yeah.
And people, I read a few people saying that like, oh, like there's no indication for Picard to say Q is sick. But I'm like, are you watching the same show? Because when has Q smacked people around? Like, when has Q ever been anything but like funny, happy kind of Q? He's like a Loki type character. Well, like the actual Loki type character. Yeah. He's a trickster, right?
Yeah.
He's not actually angry.
Hits him in DS9, he doesn't hit back.
Yeah, he's like, Picard never hit me. He's shocked.
Yeah.
But then he actually hits Picard so hard he's bleeding after saying he's frail and old. Like, I think there is something really wrong with him. And I asked Gary, is there like a sickness with the Q, or do they go senile or something? And he reminded me one of them wanted to die at one point.
Yep. There's also a bit in Discovery, which we commented on at the time, where they're like, we haven't heard from the Q continuum in like 700 years.
So maybe they're dying.
Yeah.
Well, I also wondered if the whole temporal anomaly that's occurred might be adversely affecting him. Much like the board queen that we see in this episode, right? Like, she's existing in all of these time frames, and it's like driving her insane because there's been this disruption.
Yeah.
I think it would only affect him like because he was sick, because he caused it, right? Like, normally these things don't affect him, but it might be because he's sick, right?
But I also said, like, we're looking at a possible, what do you call it? We're unreliable narrating.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we don't know what's affected Q. So he, like, what he said has happened may not be what actually occurred.
So, yeah. But I'm really curious about what's happening with him and what's going on, because like aging and frailty are a big theme in this show.
Yeah.
And it's always been a big thing. And, you know, they even have a reason why Picard's in a synthetic body. It's because Gul Dukat killed him or almost killed him. And so they had to put him in a synthetic body.
In the mirror universe.
Yeah, in this like timeline. Like Q says the reason you're in this synthetic body is Dukat almost killed him.
Huh.
And so like I actually asked that, and Gary pointed out that they had said that. And Q is also talking, like he mentioned 2 episode titles in this episode too, which is quite weird. He said, "How very yesterday's Enterprise of you." And then he mentioned "Through a Mirror Darkly" and started quoting poetry, or almost.
You're right.
So,
No, I do remember him saying the Through a Mirror Darkly episode.
He also said, when he was concerned about the crew, he's like, "How very yesterday's Enterprise of you."
Those jumped out at me, but also I didn't fully recognize the significance of them.
Mm-hmm. And that's a weird place. Like, Q's just coming apart in some weird way, and I don't know how. And that bothered some people, but it doesn't bother me. Because he's an extra dimensional being, man. He could exist in a reality where Star Trek is a TV show.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's something that made me go on there. I mean, Rick and Morty already exist in that place, so I wouldn't want to see them like chase Rick and Morty's coattails.
I mean, I don't think they would necessarily go there so much as like actively acknowledging it, but
yeah,
I don't mind it being a potentiality. I don't mind it being a suggestion.
Yeah, that's fair. I just wouldn't want them to go full Deadpool. Like, I think that'd be a mistake.
The funniest thing I've ever seen, potentially, is Agnes trying to explain why everyone is in her lab in this episode.
With Borg Queen. Agnes.
That was the best thing Agnes has ever done. And Agnes also potentially making friends with the Borg Queen. Borg Queen says something, "Tell me about it, sister." I'm just like... And
honestly, like, the Borg Queen stole the episode for me.
And the Borg Queen calling her out and being like, "This is familiar for you, this sense of unbelonging." I'm like, yeah, well, we all know what that's like, Borg Queen. Shut the fuck up, okay? Right? And that's what I was saying to Gary. I'm like, that's why I like Agnes so much, is like they just like the word vomit, and like, not feeling like you fit in anywhere, and being awkward, and having inappropriate arguments at the worst time possible. I'm like, people are like, "This is why is she arguing with Chris about their relationship at a bad time?" And I'm like, because that's what happens. Sorry?
I said, I would hang up on you if it wouldn't kill us all.
Yeah, I know, exactly. And I'm like, because that's what happens. That's what happens. You don't want to be fighting at Epcot in the front of like a whole busload of people, but that's what happens. You have a fight at Epcot, you're crying, and people are like, "This is awkward, we're just going to walk by you because this is Disney World." But there you go. That's what happens, Yeah. It's just funny, and I really liked her, and the explanation was great, and like the expression on the magistrate's face was so good, because I'm like, oh, okay, so I guess she just does this across all timelines. This is just Agnes. She's just always like this. This is because somebody was like, I read a recap where it was like, "Why doesn't he just shoot her?" And I'm like, because she's always like this. She's always like
also
this.
A genius.
Yeah, she's also a genius. Yeah, she's their genius. But I'm just like, this is not unusual. She is always like this. Any timeline, any dimension, she does this.
So I have to say, the criticism in the recap you read about how they were like so poorly stalled during the execution, like when the Borg Queen's going to be... It was
a lot.
I honestly feel like they should have had Picard pontificating.
Yeah, right? Where was his... Yeah, he was like, where was his speech? He was supposed to have a speech. Yeah.
"I will now vanquish our enemy." And he could just go on, and finally people would be like, "What's happening? Like, why is he killing her?" Then, we get to this stage, right? But like, just standing there with his gun drawn. Yeah,
like, no. Because he does that elsewhere in the episode too. Like, he gives a big fascist speech elsewhere in the episode.
Yes. So it's like, perfectly, why isn't he doing it here? This is the place.
Yeah, he was watching the recording of himself doing it. Yeah. And they said he had a speech. His assistant was like, "I have your speech ready." He could have given a speech. What the hell? So we were trying to figure out too about Spot, what was the spot number? Whatever the number
43.
of spot 42, 42?
43.
43? Does that mean like is he Spot? Like how many spots were there? Was there a Spot? Is it Data's Spot? I'm so confused about Spot, but I enjoy Spot. And that's Patton Oswalt, which Gary calls it right away. Voicing Spot 43. So I'm
the cartoon cat. I was like, what are you talking about? I don't understand. Like
Meow.
I'm
Cartoon cat.
Girardi's cartoon cat.
Girardi's cartoon cat Spot is Patton Oswalt. And I don't know what's going to go on with that cat, but obviously it's going to be important.
Shenanigans.
Yeah,
Meow.
Like, there's going to be like that cat's going to have to hack something or something.
No, the cat is going to hack something to help the master.
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely. Absolutely.
That cat is also freaking adorable.
Or the magistrate's going to be like, haha, I'm going to stop this thing. And the cat's going to be like, mm-mm.
Like, I'm your best friend.
Meow.
Meow. I don't know what is going on. That was the weirdest thing. But I quite enjoyed it. Also, Raffi is just apparently completely comfortable whatever she gets dropped into. She's just a rock star. I don't know how she does it, but she's just like
she's whom you want on your side in a crisis.
I think so, because she just got dropped into her thing and she's like, all right, I'm the chief of police. Oh, look, they're gonna kill Elnor. Boom, boom, boom. Come with me.
Come on, she's like perfect candidate for Section 31.
She really is.
She really is.
I think she's a little honest, but
yeah, maybe. But that was pretty unbelievable. That was pretty impressive. Yeah, but out of this episode, I was really shocked they were chanting blood. Haven't heard that since I went to medieval times for my birthday.
It's true.
Blood. I know that from the Max. There's a shark man in the Max who chants blood whenever he tries to kill someone.
Oh, that's hilarious. And yeah, the other thing I was interested in is Rios' ship was La Serena again.
Yeah, I thought that was odd too. I guess they just didn't want to reuse the set, or they didn't want to build the set.
Probably, but I was just like, huh, is that his ship? Oh, shit. That was the other thing I wanted to mention. Yeah, no, I'm going to wrap it up after this, but one more thing that I wanted to mention was Emmett.
Yeah.
Yeah, Seven merged all of the holograms
in the prime timeline.
In the prime timeline.
Yeah.
So they're all Emmett now.
Which I'm a bit disappointed by.
I was too, because I was like, I said, Seven, weren't you there for Tuvix? Come on. Aren't they people like the doctor? And Gary said the doctor taught her how to like be socialize. Aren't they distinct people? Come on.
Well, and then also when they go into the alternate timeline, Rios like is calling into the ship like he's expecting Emmett or any of the other holograms to be around.
Yeah, I think Rios is going to be very disappointed in Seven that she merged them. But I was very surprised that she was like, I just merged all the holograms. I'm like, what the hell, Seven?
I think also Rios is going to be concerned if he meets whoever the hologram is in the alternate timeline.
Oh yeah, Gary thinks Emmett in the alternate timeline is scary.
I wonder if Santiago Cabrera just did not want to play like 20 characters again.
I don't blame him.
I don't know. They were really fun.
They were great though. Their characterizations, they were like different people.
They were really fun. And they were different people. That's why I was a little surprised that she was like, I just merged them. And it was like a throwaway line, especially after how many people are mad at Janeway about Tuvix. Like, holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, I am firmly like on the Janeway killed Tuvix camp. I am firmly on that camp. I will argue the ethics of that till like I'm blue in the face. Mm-hmm. But most people, there was a like I saw a poll on this. Most people think Janeway did the right thing.
I understand the difficulties, but as I said, if that happened on Discovery, they would have scienced it out.
Yeah.
They would have figured out a way for Tuvok and Neelix to both survive, and Tuvix. They would have been like,
easy peasy. We already did it with
yeah. That's what we said. They would have been like, we're gonna call Gray up and he's gonna manage the whole situation. Don't worry. And Gray's gonna be like, it's gonna be my first job in my new role.
So in TOS, or no, not TOS, sorry, in the anime in TAS, there is an episode where everyone's affected by hyperaging. So everyone's like senile by the end. And there's just like, we have our young bodies in the transporter pattern recognized. We're just going to transport ourselves back to being young.
Oh my god!
What?
I'm just like,
no, but they've done that. They've done that where they're like, okay, my sequence in the buffer is the original. So if we put me back through, we can remove the thing that's been affecting us since.
Yeah.
Wow.
They do that. It happens a couple of times.
Yeah. Like I said, twice in the animated series, in the original animated series, to what I'm aware of, which is saying something because that's only like 17 episodes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and then Generation, I think, does it like at least twice.
To filter out blood or something like that. Yeah.
There was an organism that like Barclay could see when they were going through, and he's like, "Oh my god, there's an organism in there." He was having his whole like terrors about transporting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I really don't know what's gonna happen in the next episode.
I mean, they're obviously going to deal with the situation. They're obviously going to go back in time.
Well, yeah, that's gotta be step one, right?
They're obviously going to see what Q changed,
or was changed. We don't know if Q is actually responsible.
It's called Assimilated. Is the next episode.
I mean, yeah, the Borg Queen's definitely going to become a prominent part of the show. Yeah, so they're going to go back, and then whether these like, I suspect that these fascists that have beamed on the ship are going to be with them. Like, I suspect that they're also getting pulled back in time.
Oh yeah,
and then they'll be the
primary complication.
Like
that would explain why he's been cast. Like the magistrate is an actual like guy around. Like they'll probably just kill off his minions, and he'll be running around trying to catch them. Right?
That's my guess.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, and that would explain where Soji is, because he would be like male Soji, I guess. Yeah. Sort of, because Soji can't be there unless Soji's just someone's servant synth somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? Soji can't exist as a sentient being.
Yeah.
That would make a lot of sense.
That would track, I think.
Yeah. No, I can see that happening. I'm curious to see how it goes. Assimilated is interesting. Interesting to see if taking the Borg Queen back brings the Borg to Earth.
I would really like to see a change in status quo for the Borg, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with this. Are the Borg ever mentioned in Discovery in the future?
I think once, when that conversation is being had about what the DMA, where the DMA could come from.
Same place where they mentioned Q. Okay.
Yeah, I think the same place.
I think it was just like technological, what's available out there.
And that they haven't been in contact for a long time either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're clearly trying to establish some sort of shared, interest with the Borg. Like that's what Seven's trying to do, because she knows how they think. And who knows?
I wonder if we'll get an origin for the Borg. I wonder if the Borg technically start on Earth.
I don't know, but they do time travel back, and if they exist in 2024, it's entirely possible that they might be called there by Borg Queen. But it's entirely possible that she won't want to assimilate everybody, given everything right now.
There's an assumption that the Borg, like what race the Borg Queen is never addressed. She sure looks human.
Mm-hmm. She has no legs, so who knows?
I think we're also set up in a kind of like Terminator situation where like the Borg went back in First Contact and attempted something, but you could also have a story where they also went back to an earlier period and attempted the same thing.
Yeah,
much kind of a la like the Terminators, right? Skynet.
Yeah, I mean, this could be the Borg. Also, could be. I don't think it's the case, but it could be possible the Borg like fucked up the time space continuum, not Q.
Yeah.
I don't think it. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be Q, but you never know.
No. I mean, it's entirely possible. Yeah, that through this anomaly they did, and that Q just put them back to fix it.
Yeah,
because who knows? Who knows?
I mean, maybe whatever they did is what's fucking with Q.
That is possible too, but I honestly think that the thought that they haven't heard from the Q in a long time in Discovery, and something's going on with Q. I think it seems like the Q might be dying.
Yeah, it doesn't like that line in Discovery doesn't feel accidental. Like
no, nothing feels accidental about a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, I instantly pulled him like, okay, that sounds like Picard foreshadowing.
No, the Q rarely get mentioned without purpose.
Yeah.
Well,
especially because like they even had an episode in season 3 where they could have brought the Q in, and they went with the Guardian of Tomorrow of Forever instead.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, that's right. So yeah, I think they would only really mention it if it was important, for sure.
Yeah.
So next week in the next week we have we've got the finale of Discovery. We've got another episode of Picard, and the week after that we have another episode of Picard, so we can be back in 2 weeks. And then there's also a preview out there for Strange New Worlds at the moment, and that starts May 4th.
Yep.
So another Star Trek show. We're just gonna keep rolling with.
Are they trying to hijack Star Wars Day?
Oh yeah, I mean the 4th.
Yeah, they are actually. They are hijacking Star Wars Day. That's hilarious.
So when does Picard? So if it's May 4th, when's Picard due to end?
Picard due to end.
When is Picard ending? I'm not sure. What happened there?
What? 11 more episodes, right? If they go for like 13.
I'm not sure they're going for 13. I'm sorry, I just closed the window on that. Hang on 1 second.
So yeah, it looks like we're going to get this. It looks like we're going to get crossover between Picard and Strange New Worlds as well. If I'm doing my math right.
You're likely right. There's so much Star Trek to cram in.
Yeah. Well, like I said, there's like 2 other rumored shows.
Yeah.
Picard is 10 episodes.
Okay. Oh, it's only 10?
It looks like it's only 10 episodes this season.
So we're at 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, it doesn't look like they're going to cross over. Looks like it's going to be immediately into one or the other then. Picard is going to end, and immediately the first week there will be Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, I'll double check that later, but it looks like it's only listed for 10 right now. And it will be 10 episodes through May 5th. It will be ending with the 3rd season as well. It just ends.
Yeah.
So
3rd season confirmed. No one knows what's happening after the 3rd season. I would not be shocked.
They announced that the 3rd season was the last.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think the big part of that is just, I think a big part of that is going to be Patrick Stewart. He has made it he has made that he views like a small scale temporary project abundantly clear.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they announced that it's ending after season 3.
I would be, and I would, and I mean, it ending would make room for Section 31 or Starfleet Academy.
Which would be great. I mean, if the Section 31 show was able to take off, and if Michelle Yeoh has time, since she's doing everything. I didn't know she was in Turning Red, and there she was. So, we're like, is that Michelle Yeoh? She's in everything.
I didn't know she was in it. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm wholly unsurprised.
Mm-hmm. No, she's in it. She's grandma. She's fabulous. Do watch it. It's amazing. You will love seeing the Toronto you grew up in. That's part of the best part of it.
I didn't grow up in Toronto. The Toronto 2002 is a mystery to me.
Toronto 2002 is a mystery to you?
I was not here yet. I didn't move here.
Oh, really?
I moved to Oakville in 2005. I didn't move to Toronto until 2010. But
you were coming downtown, right?
Yeah, no, I would have been your LARP. So I would have started LARPing with you guys around 2005. So I would have have some familiarity with it, but I didn't live here yet.
Oh, okay. Well, you'll see the old streetcars. That's the nice part. It's nice to see the old streetcars.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I expect to get a lot of nostalgia from it, regardless. But it's just a fun movie, and it's a fun movie about being a teenager and feeling weird and gross and like a giant red panda, basically. Yeah, I mean, the turning into red panda is obviously a metaphor for
puberty. Yeah, she said it was magical puberty, which is makes a lot of sense, and it's adorable. Anyway, it will be back in 2 weeks, and sorry, your stream next week. What are you up to?
I don't think we've landed on a topic yet. I want to discuss. So that one's like a news and political philosophy show that happens on my channel, A Bright Green City. I don't know that we've 100% settled on a topic. We have a couple jotted down. I want to talk about like commodification, like, and nerd culture, and like what it means to be an anti-capitalist when major corporations own everything you love.
No, I can't go on. It's an indigenous thing, but that's a topic that is close to my heart, so I'll definitely have to watch and make some comments.
I don't know if we're gonna do that next week. That we're definitely talking about that. Whether it's next week or one of the weeks after, I'm not sure yet. But
yeah, that's probably that's basically my research topic that I'm applying to grad school with. So it's definitely a topic near and dear to my heart. But what time do you go on?
Usually 7:30.
7:30. Yeah, and it'll be streaming through here on Twitch as well, because I stream through your show as well, your channel. Yep. So check it out at A Bright Green City, and you'll be able to see that, and whatever you talk about, I'm sure it'll be interesting next week. So yeah, please check it out. And yeah, in 2 weeks we'll be back to chat finale of Discovery in the next 2 episodes of Picard. God knows what's going to happen. Hopefully not more skull rooms.
How about a skull cup?
Maybe
it'll be more prominent Star Trek characters that evil Picard has killed.
Gary was like, he wants Jake to be drinking out of Nog's skull or something like that. I'm like, Gary, you're just terrible. You're a terrible person.
Well, I will point out, Picard, I think, did kill Sarek, like on the fucking stairs of the Academy, right?
Yeah,
Academy.
In front of his wife and Spock. Yes, he did. Yes. That's what
Classy
he did.
Dude.
Yeah, what happened to Picard, man? I guess his father beat him more and turned him into. His mom must have died.
Homicidal maniac.
I think it's more. I think it's more. So we didn't talk about this, but like Picard is clearly out to say something about Picard, the show, not necessarily the character, is clearly out to say something about fascism. Because like that this is what the Mirror Universe is, and the Mirror Universe is. I tweeted about this. Mirror Universe is a much more, or I say. This is the big difference between what they're doing here and the Mirror Universe. The Mirror Universe it's a fascist government, but it's campy and hokey, and like everyone's dressed in gold, and like this is
named Killy.
This is a much more realistic portrayal of how fascism actually works.
Yeah.
So it's a clear like clearly they're aiming to say something about fascism. What they're trying to say, I don't know yet. Because we're only 2 episodes in, but
I
where they're going.
I think it should be interesting. We'll see. I mean, I don't have total confidence, but I have some confidence in this show, not to totally screw it up.
I mean, I just want to see where they're going with it. I'm curious. I want to know what. I don't think like this imagery is not accidental. They're clearly trying to say something. I just don't know.
100%, 100%. Yeah, I just we'll have to see how simplistic that message is. Fascism is bad is probably clear. We'll see how much further it goes than that.
I mean, Star Trek has always been anti-fascist. Just how much farther they take it than that, it will be. If they have anything else to say beyond that.
Yeah.
I'm hoping, from what it seems like, that it only takes a few changes for you to change your path. Because, like, taking the great Jean-Luc Picard and making him into a monster is, a big deal. But we'll see.
The idea that, like, growing up in a fascist environment can take great people and make them fascists is a fine statement. Like, I don't like that there's an examination material reality in there. I don't I'm fine with it. Like, I don't like the idea of if you took Picard, raised him in a fascist militaristic culture, and you got a fascist militarist fanatic, that's a statement in of itself, and a statement I happen to agree with.
I think there might be more to it too, with choices as well too, because of just the whole penance thing and a few other things like that. But yeah, I think that's fair as well.
We'll see, but like so far, my reading is that Picard is a product of his environment.
Yeah,
I hope it doesn't stop there. That's all I'm saying. I hope it doesn't stop there.
Episode series, so
I'm hoping it doesn't end at that. But I mean, that is fine. But I just don't. I'm hoping that isn't the whole of the analysis. Is what my hope is as well. But again, we'll see, and we'll see. I'm sure we'll have a much broader picture in a couple of weeks. Yeah, so thank you so much. Tune in to A Bright Green City in a week, and tune back in 2 weeks here, and we'll talk to you soon about more Trek. All right. Have a good one. Thanks for watching.
Live wrong and expire.
Bye.